There's this saying in business, which is keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. And to be honest, when I saw this news about BigBear.ai and Palantir integrating to boost their data offering that came out about last month in November, and I did a really quick video on it in November, but I don't think I really dug deep into it. And today I'm diving a lot more deep into it, especially because I'm getting a lot more comments from people that want to know a little bit more about the offering and what this really means. I'm starting to think, to be honest, that Palantir invested in these guys, or not invested, sorry. They did a partnership with them. They did not invest in them because they might see them as competitors. Now, this is not to sound conspiratorial at all. That's not the goal of this. That's not my intention here. But rather, as I'm reading more about what BigBear.ai is, and we're going to talk about this in the video, and I'm going to link this in the description. I want you to go to their website and see their product offerings and kind of just browse through it. They seem very similar to Palantir. They seem very similar for a couple of reasons. So in this video, we're going to talk about what BigBear.ai is, why you should think about potentially investing in it, or what the potential trajectory is of the company. And then second, why Palantir ultimately made this partnership. So if you go to their website, first thing that's important to understand is they have 3 product offerings: Observe, Orient, and Dominate. Palantir has 3 main product offerings called Foundry, Gotham, and Apollo. Now, obviously, they're a little bit different than this, but if you just read the description, Observe is real-time decision-making. Orient is distributed predictive analytics. Dominate is auto machine learning-powered actionable scenario-specific advice to achieve the goals you specify. In a nutshell, right? Someone who doesn't know much about the company, if you just gave me the Palantir description of the products and the BigBear description of the products, I would look at those and be like, each of them are trying to do kind of the same thing, which is use AI, machine learning, predictive analytics to try to help clients that are using the software better understand what they have to do in their businesses or in their organizations. Seems pretty obvious to me, right? So at that level, that's the first sort of big similarity, which is that they have 3 product offerings. It's kind of weird that they have 3 and Palantir has 3. I guess 3 is kind of this magical number, but the nature of the product offerings are data-driven decision-making paradigms for companies. The second thing is that BigBear.ai works with the government. They say on their website, at BigBear.ai, we take pride in providing mission-critical services and solutions to our government customers. They have data analytics services for governments, cybersecurity services for the government, and system engineering services for the government. They probably don't do the exact same thing Palantir does, right? Palantir is trusted by the Nuclear Administration and the Space System Commands and the Army Vantage. They just got $116 million. Nuclear Administration gave them $90 million. Space Systems Command gave them $43 million. So those contracts are probably substantially bigger than what BigBear has, just given Palantir has been working with the government for 17 years. But they're also working with the government, and they're a AI-driven data platform, which sounds similar to Palantir. So the point I'm trying to get at here, before we get deeper into the press release, is it seems like this partnership is going to be mutually beneficial. And if I was Palantir, I would definitely probably integrate this partnership or make this partnership definitely happen, because it seems like BigBear to some extent is a competitor, right? And maybe I'm totally wrong on this, but from the research I've done, and I really, if anyone wants to challenge this, please leave it in the comments. Let's talk about it. It seems like they're doing what Palantir is doing. Now, they're not doing it at the exact levels. They're not doing it at the exact sophistication. They're not working with the exact same clients, but they're trying to provide decision-making analytics powered by data to clients, which is what Palantir does. So I think this combination ultimately makes sense, and I think it has to make sense, because if they weren't able to partner with each other and build off of each other's platforms, they likely would be competing more with each other, and I think that's where this partnership comes from. So let's read a little bit off the press release. As a part of the integrated product offering, Palantir's Foundry platform will be integrated with BigBear.ai's Observe, Orient, and Dominate products, creating powerful machine learning extensions for the Palantir ecosystem that will provide global data collection, generate actionable insights, and deliver anticipatory intelligence at enterprise scale to address high-growth federal and commercial verticals, including space, retail, logistics, and energy. All 4 of those sectors are what Palantir is currently dominating, so it makes sense that that's where they're going to be integrating with BigBear.ai as well. Now, it says BigBear will have an opportunity to extend Palantir's products with its forecasting, course of action optimization, conflation, computer vision, natural language processing, and other predictive analytics via low-code interfaces. Building upon the agility and scalability of Palantir's Foundry data and analytics fabric, BigBear's products will enable businesses to achieve a return on investment faster with out-of-the-box optimization solutions for pricing, inventory, and asset allocation and customer targeting, all built to be sensitive to today's connected economy with the inclusion of BigBear's global data for its situational awareness and competitive intelligence. That's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but it seems like what they're trying to say is that BigBear is going to use Foundry, Palantir is going to integrate with BigBear's Observe, and the two of them together are going to offer clients a much more robust, easier, effective way to understand the data that they're optimizing within different sectors. So BigBear is not doing exactly what Foundry does, but BigBear does do some things that are probably unique to them, which is this idea of customer targeting, inventory and asset allocation, pricing, operations management. Palantir can do that stuff, but obviously BigBear, if they have a business, they do some of that stuff in a more niche way, which is what gives them the clientele that they're getting. So with integrating Foundry, which is just like this machine for data on top of the platforms that you have, then you have a unique AI set of assets that is capable of doing different things for clients, which seems to make a lot more sense. So they give an example here. Where's this example? Okay. For example, exploring how BigBear's commercial space solutions could be deployed together with Palantir's products in the federal government space. BigBear's near real-time observations of places, events, and other entities could be easily disseminated to Palantir customers and tied into businesses with their automations and their analytics. So what it's saying here is kind of the same thing we've been talking about for a couple of weeks, which is this idea of network effects. And Palantir's business operates off network effects. A network effect is the more thing that is added, the more data or users that come to a network like YouTube, the bigger that it gets. So with Palantir, the more data they get into their Foundry software, the better their data becomes at predicting things, at simulating scenarios, at providing machine learning and artificial intelligence solutions to clients, etc. Which is sort of the Tesla model, right? The more data it has from cars that are driving on the roads, the more it knows about how the world looks, which informs its AI models to like make autonomous vehicle driving better because it has more data about the world because it collected all this data from the past 10 years. So Tesla is a network effects company because each and every single car adds value to the network because it sends back that data to the software in terms of capturing the miles and things that are driven. So in Texas, a stop sign may look a little bit different from a stop sign in California, and you can all that stuff sort of starts to make the model more intelligent. Same thing with BigBear. So they're using, in this example, commercial space solutions, which is like sending stuff up to space, to be deployed with Palantir's products in the federal government space. Palantir works with the Space System Command, so you see sort of the symbiotic relationship that exists there, in order to provide real-time observations to other clients that exist for Palantir, which means taking the data from BigBear and integrating it into the network effect of Palantir software, which means every client of Palantir and probably BigBear gets to benefit off of that. This is also what happened with Black Sky. I did a video on that. Black Sky is a geospatial intelligence SPAC, which is a special purpose acquisition company. And they basically send satellites across the world. It's like Google Earth on steroids. And they take tons and tons of photos and images, and they give that data back to Palantir's Foundry, and Palantir's Foundry can now integrate that data with other startups or other clients that it works with. For example, the federal government that needs to like do something and they need to know a specific image in order to be able to do something. Palantir has the data because it gets it from Black Sky. Those combinations, those partnerships make sense, right? They build off of each other. They offer mutually beneficial things, even if the companies may be competing in some way. So the reason I think this BigBear thing makes sense is because what BigBear is doing is relatively the same thing as Palantir, even though I'm saying that in a vacuum. And they're building off of Foundry, and Foundry is building off of what BigBear can do in terms of predictive analytics to provide solutions to clients that are ultimately going to be better in the long term. Like, it seems like a very strategic partnership when you think about it from that perspective. Some quotes. Brian Frutchery, interesting name, CTO of BigBear, says, "We are thrilled to partner with Palantir to deliver a more robust range of capabilities to our respective customer bases at a time in which demand for AI and ML solutions is growing rapidly. We are confident that this partnership will accelerate BigBear's penetration into high-growth markets, including commercial markets and the federal government." So they're trying to go for the government. It's funny because Palantir is like trying to get out of the government to some extent, and help us expand our existing customer relationships as well as attract new customers. Akash Jain, president of Palantir USG, says, "We see immense opportunities to deliver more faster for customers by partnering with cutting-edge companies who can leverage Foundry as infrastructure in their offerings. BigBear's unique AI capabilities can achieve scalable distribution across government and commercial customers alike through Apollo and Foundry." I think that kind of sums it up, right? Foundry and Apollo, which are Palantir's core offerings, are the infrastructure that a company like BigBear can use. So yes, they're kind of competitors if you look at it in one sense, but one of the competitors is worth like 40 billion. The other one is not worth 40 billion, right? So obviously the software and the other competitor is very valuable. If you can integrate that software within an existing up and coming AI driven company like BigBear, then BigBear gets a lot of benefits off of that because they have all of that vast amount of data within those other two pieces of software that they can leverage for their clients. And then Palantir can get unique elements from their capabilities that they probably don't have because obviously they're focused on other things, just being the bigger company that they are, that they can give value back to their clients. So it seems like it makes sense to me. Now, would I buy the BigBear stock? Because that's a question that's I've seen in my comments a couple times as well. The answer to me is no, but that's not because this is financial advice or anything. I just wouldn't do it because I would just put that money into Palantir, right? I don't know if BigBear has the capability to become bigger than Palantir, especially if it's using Palantir software as the infrastructure for its own software. Like maybe that's possible, but I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, right? I would just put my bet on a company that's partnering with all these smaller startups and leveraging their data and their network effects versus betting on those companies. But again, if you want to, if you've done more research, obviously I haven't done the most due diligence on BigBear, then, that's your decision. That's your choice. I would just go with the company that's, actually partnering with the companies, given those companies are using that company's software in order to make their stuff even better. But in general, I do think there is a little bit of keep your enemies closer, right? Because as mutually beneficial as this seems and as nicely worded as this press release is, if BigBear wasn't using Palantir's Foundry and Apollo, would they be developing their own version of Foundry and Apollo? Because it seems like those things are crucial for them to be able to provide these types of predictive analytics and AI ML simulations to their clients. So if they didn't have Apollo and Foundry, they would have to make their own, which would take 5-6 years. But nonetheless, that's 5-6 years of them working on a competitor to Palantir, which is probably not the best thing in the world when Palantir could just integrate with them and kind of sequester them to not try to develop a competitor, but rather just use their infrastructure on top of them. It's kind of like what tech companies do, right? Like if you're building a mobile app, instead of building your own API, you could just leverage like Facebook's API. And like let's say you're building a game, you can get massive distribution by that game being distributed on Facebook. So instead of building your entire own software for gaming, you just use Facebook Gaming's software, and then the game is compatible with Facebook, right? This is what Farmville did in 2009. That's what made it super popular, etc. So that's kind of why I think BigBear and Palantir announced a strategic partnership. And ultimately, my final thing is I'm very bullish on this in general because Palantir is finding companies that are working in the AI space and they're making sure to partner with them because you got to partner with those companies as they get bigger. But number two, it just means that data and AI truly is driving the world. When you see other companies like this that are small, that they're in their own niche and that they're, working with all these other clients, kind of similar to what Palantir is doing, you're seeing that, this is not just like some nonsense customer relationship management platform. No shade to Salesforce. This is like real stuff that people actually need in the world. Like this is not a joke. And there's other companies other than Palantir working on this stuff. And if Palantir can be the leader in this category and truly get most of the market share because it is the one-of-one software that can provide data analytics to other companies and organizations and eventually consumers, then you've got a pretty big potential company on your hands. So those are my thoughts on BigBear.ai and Palantir. Let me know if you guys have done any DD on BigBear. Leave it in the comments. Let me know if you are invested in it and what potential you see in it, if you've ever used their software, and ultimately what you think this means for Palantir. My name is Mitt. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.